Steve Deace here. Welcome to Rant as we discuss that's right, folks, first place Detroit Lions. In fact, we are only heading into week 6 of the NFL season, and Detroit already has a 2-game lead in the division, if you can believe it. And really, the Lions are just a miracle comeback by the Packers. They were down 17-0 in the second half against the Saints at home, and that's a good Saints defense, by the way. They're my fantasy defense, so I know that's a good defense. And they came back, knocked Derek Carr out of the game, and won 18-17. So the Lions are a miracle comeback away from every team in the NFC North other than them being 1-4. Justin Jefferson lost to the Vikings now, which is a killer to my fantasy team, not that you care. He goes on IR, and there's some talk that he won't be ready to come back even after the initial 4-week period. Got to start wondering, he's in a contract year. How much is he going to want to play and risk that? If the team's not going anywhere, do they trade Kirk Cousins here at the deadline to a team like the Jets? Because they're not bringing him back next year either. You know, the Bears are still rebuilding. That's obvious. Just lost Khalil Herbert, their starting tailback. He's on IR right now. You have the Packers that are just the youngest roster in the NFL, suffering some growing pains. And the odds that they're going to hit on a generational quarterback 3 times in a row, you think of franchises that have ever done it twice in a row. You think of the Colts with Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, for example, although Luck cut that short with an early retirement. It is hard to do that twice in a row. Hard. Let alone 3 in a row. I can't think of a franchise that has ever done it 3 times in a row. Highly unlikely, therefore, that Jordan Love is that guy. And it might be someone that comes after him. You know, you always want to be the guy that replaces the guy who replaced the guy, not the guy who replaces the guy. So the division is there for the Lions taking. Jared Goff right now, the #1 rated passer in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus's analytics. #1 in the NFL. Jared Goff has a better passer rating on throws 20-plus yards down the field than Pat Mahomes does. That's crazy. Now, that's never going to stand up for the entirety of a season, okay? But it's just crazy that was true at any meaningful juncture of the season whatsoever, and speaks to how well he has played. In fact, this is the first time since 1954. So we're going back now to when the Lions and the Browns were they ruled the roost in the NFL. You look at what both those, that's the last time the Lions won a playoff game, was the NFL championship game of 1957 against the Cleveland Browns. So we're talking the Bobby Lane era Detroit Lions. It's the first time since 1954 that the Lions have started the first 5 games of the year gaining 375 yards or more in every single game. So Detroit is just out here. We talked last week about all the individual players doing things that have not ever been done in franchise history or for rookies, even in NFL history. That trend line continues. Now, the run defense is dramatically improved. This is a legit football team. Now, this week's game I'm concerned about. You have a team coming off a bye in the Buccaneers. They're 3-1. Yeah, a couple of their wins were against some of the weaker teams in the league, but you're going on the road, going to play on grass. Now you're everybody's talk of the town. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of coming off the KC win, right? The Lions do that on Thursday night and on national TV. They're all anybody's talking about. Well, Detroit gets flexed to a 4:00 Eastern game. When was the last time that happened, by the way? They're America's game of the week. They're playing this is another first-place team in a division. And on paper, the Lions deserve to be favored on the road. But when was the last time the Lions were favored on the road against a team with a winning record? I mean, I can't think of that. I mean, we're probably going to have to go back to, Barry Sanders, Herman Moore era. So that's another century. The Lions, the injuries are mounting. Jahmyr Gibbs had the mysterious late in the week injury pop up. And so is he going to play this week? It looks like Amon-Ra St. Brown will play this week. By the way, as great as he is, and he is, the last 2 games that he was injured and didn't play for Detroit, they scored 45 points against the Jaguars and 42 against the Panthers. So, I mean, that just goes to speak to the overall depth. But now Emmanuel Mosley, he's tore the ACL in his other knee. So his Lions career is basically over before it started. We waited for him to come off of IR. He finally was able to. and then blows out his other knee. And he's on a 1-year deal, so that's probably it for his Detroit Lions career. We don't know if Brian Branch will be back yet. We don't know if Jahmyr Gibbs will be back yet. They're getting thin in the secondary. That's the position. You get more injuries in the secondary in the NFL than any other position group, and it's not even close. So there's a lot to like, but the next 2 games are on the road against Tampa Bay and Baltimore. If you could at least get a split, then you're 5-2 coming home against the Raiders on Monday night in a game you'll be heavily favored to win. But even if you were to lose them both, you got a 2-game lead in the division right now. You're going to be in first place anyway. So things are setting up for the Lions to be division champions for the first time in 30 years. This is the longest division title drought in American team sport, 1993. The Lions beat the Packers on the last day of the regular season to win the NFC Central then. That's what it was called. Then had to play the Packers the next week in a wild card game at home at the Silverdome as well. And Brett Favre threw the ball up into the roof of the Silverdome and somehow found a wide open Sterling Sharp at the end of the game, and that won it. That's one of the reasons why your Lions haven't won a playoff game since 1991. But what I think is the most encouraging thing about all of this, and it goes to what I said last week about this being a legit team, there aren't any gimmicks, is go look at the post game of Dan Campbell after the game. And he said, you know what, when you are a team, because your coach is worried about a letdown, your coach is worried about mounting injuries, and the other team's going to be hungry, they're winless, and we were that team a year ago at this time, so we know what it feels like. And you just come in, man, and just handle your business. And it's like you're saying to the head coach, Coach, relax, we got this. That's the kind of things playoffs and elite teams are known to do. And the Detroit Lions are doing those things right now. And I think a lot of us that have been here for many, many a moon aren't even sure how to handle that yet. So let's just go ahead and do our best to friggin' enjoy it. All right? We'll see you next week right here on Rant.